God is good, and today let's talk about the decline of World of Warcraft and the rise of another MMO. Now, we've all heard about the WoW killer in the past, we've all seen them not actually be that. But with the mounting pressure of the community of World of Warcraft not being heard from Blizzard, along with so many changes no one wanted, and the hype of classic WoW beginning to kinda cool down, just as I knew it would, it looks as though World of Warcraft, the juggernaut of MMOs, has very quite possibly lost its crown as being the most popular in the genre. And today, we are going to talk about this and the rise of Final Fantasy XIV, as well as, even if the reports aren't even perfectly accurate, why they will be soon. Before we begin, I want to give a big shout out to the members of Napalm. I could not do this without you. You are the sponsors of this channel. Thank you for your continued support. If you are interested in becoming a member of Napalm with exclusive perks, please click the join button down below for more information. And a very special shout out to the Lords of Napalm, Bounty Code, We Smoke Bitcoins, and Tango Hotel. Thank you for your highest tier membership. So it's been a rumor that Final Fantasy XIV was gaining more popularity than World of Warcraft for the past couple of years, and lately some evidence has surfaced that makes it seem very likely, and it's not surprising at all to me. I've said for a long time that for the World of Warcraft style MMO, that Final Fantasy XIV just simply does it better. The tired excuse of the global cooldown being too long in Final Fantasy XIV is just a long shot, because anyone that has gotten anywhere near the end game knows that the flow of Final Fantasy XIV is smooth and action-packed by that point. But let's not make that the hill to die on. Let's talk about content. As Visionary Realms of Pantheon Rise of the Fallen's very own, the granddaddy of MMOs said, content is king. And it is. World of Warcraft's last great expansion that was heralded by its own community was Legion, which means WoW is long in the tooth for great content that their community enjoys. You can certainly blame this on Activision's acquisition of Blizzard, or all the big talent leaving Blizzard to start their own studios, which is kind of one and the same problem, or you could just say that the love for the brand is dying off for Blizzard. It really doesn't change the fact that this is the way that it is. On the other hand, Final Fantasy XIV has continuously pushed out a better expansion every single time, and their big patches in between are undeniably full of more content and goodies for their community than World of Warcraft has been pushing out in a ridiculously long time. Also, in my opinion, the reason World of Warcraft was so hard to beat in the past was because of all the content available in a game that released in 2004 and has kept a bank full of cash money due to its popularity, meaning a larger staff and more support. I no longer believe any of this is the case for Blizzard or World of Warcraft. I think they still make a buttload of money, but I don't think it's being poured back into the game. Final Fantasy, on the other hand, has pumped content out regularly and at a pace that it really now contends in count to the content of World of Warcraft due to a much more aggressive release schedule. Now, it contends with it due to World of Warcraft's age and the fact that it has two classic servers technically. It definitely has more content. However, meaningful, enjoyable content, I do believe Final Fantasy has absolutely slaughtered World of Warcraft in those departments. The interesting thing about these two MMO titans clashing, I would like to mention also, is that they both suffer from a similar issue as far as gaining new players, and that would be their art style. Some just can't get over World of Warcraft due to its more cartoony look in the graphics department. Others can't get into Final Fantasy for its more anime style look. And let's be honest, if this is your only issue with trying either one of these, then by all means, please understand that you will adjust to any art style if the gameplay is good and enjoy it. Soon you will find yourself actually enjoying the art styles. They do grow on you. But let's get to the meat of this conversation. Why Final Fantasy will surpass World of Warcraft, even if it hasn't quite done so yet. And let me be clear, I believe it already has. But there always always was a huge factor that really helped World of Warcraft more than any outside factor could have, and that's the content creators. There are so many of them with such huge followings. We're talking Bellular, Asmongold, and so many more that have been keeping the hype alive for World of Warcraft and kind of keeping the flame of hope lit, even during darker times. I mean, after all, what game that is over 15 years old wouldn't have some dark moments here and there? And these content creators were doing more for Blizzard than Blizzard probably deserved. But as it is with these type of things, with no light at the end of the tunnel for so many years, and these content creators being actual human beings who love MMOs, they began to wander. And when Bellular started enjoying Final Fantasy more than he enjoys World of Warcraft, and then started talking about it, and now with Asmongold about to start his adventure in Final Fantasy XIV at the time of this recording, the amount of people that will exodus from World of Warcraft is about to get staggering, more so than it has in the past. If Asmongold gets past what I consider a kind of horrible trek through the original A Realm Reborn and gets into Heavensward or any content beyond that, he's definitely going to enjoy it, because the gameplay loop becomes very similar to that of World of Warcraft's, but presented in a more caring way. And if he too jumps ship, World of Warcraft will take a hit too large for them to recover from, in my opinion. And that brings me to the final point I want to make on this subject: the care of making an MMO. And I'm talking about the world, the characters, the places, the direction of the story, the content, dungeons, raids, quests, all of it. World of Warcraft has continued this sort of almost rinse and repeat with bizarre and sometimes downright unnecessarily confusing plot twists, barely inspired dungeons, and endgame cycles that have grown extremely stale. Meanwhile, Yoshi P from Square Enix has absolutely poured his soul into Final Fantasy XIV. Not afraid to try new things, always listening to the players, always out there in the public view, keeping things fresh and exciting, trying to always have something really cool coming soon, working with all the departments from the design teams to the art direction to the music, all in order to make sure that Final Fantasy XIV continues to deliver what their fan base wants and more. The attention to detail, the love for the world, and the genre has always been there in Final Fantasy XIV, at least since A Realm Reborn. And it's heralded by many to be the best in the entire series, and for good reason. The game can be picked up and played by anybody. No need for playing any previous Final Fantasy games, and it's got a great story and great hooks. The bosses are amazing. The mechanics in the raids are intense and require extreme teamwork and provoke a ton of thought and attention, not to mention the massive amounts of mounts and gear. And I'll say it again, if you ever enjoy World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV is simply the best version of what World of Warcraft ever was, except it is still getting better, while Blizzard can't figure out how to listen to its own community. I may not be a mega epic fan of Final Fantasy XIV, after all, I never even loved World of Warcraft in all of my MMO gaming. I'm more of a classically spirited MMO kind of guy, but even I really enjoy Final Fantasy XIV, especially the endgame and the dungeons and the bosses. I've met absolutely wonderful people in Eorzea, and I mained it for a very long time. It's a wonderful game with a wonderful lead man, Yoshi P, and the love for MMOs and for Final Fantasy's brand are on full display here. What does this mean for MMOs though, with World of Warcraft beginning to sink below other titans? Well, I think it means the world is changing, and not just, I don't mean the World of Warcraft changing, but the actual world and the way we think about the genre. People are beginning to see how huge companies get greedy and too big to even have common sense practices, and they replace their love for the genre and for the MMO world with data and metrics to try to make more money instead of to make more content. And in today's world, we no longer accept that, especially as long as we have options that are doing it better. This, with fun mechanics and an awesome world, this means that when an MMO with real heart with great content and addictive gameplay loops, with fun mechanics and an awesome world that smashes into launch, you know who I'm talking about, we have a chance at a bigger success than previously possible, and with more and more refugees from World of Warcraft floating around the MMO space. I hope you enjoyed my take on the situation. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing for more MMO content, and let me know your opinions on all of this in the comments down below. I read them all, and I love digging into what you think. Until next time though, my friends, God bless and happy gaming.